This video is to provide you with some information on the upcoming vaxx that's going to be coming out next week from the company Pfizer, so that you can get some information for yourself and make an informed choice on whether or not you want to take it. So, the company that actually make this vaxx is called Pfizer, and I've got some information here on the company Pfizer. So, it's a New York based big pharma company, and it's known for its products like Advil, Viagra, Xanax and Zoloft. It was the second largest pharmaceutical company in revenue in 2017. But this medical giant has had its share of legal troubles and scandal. This includes marketing fraud allegations and unapproved clinical trials. So they're a massive brand, and they've created many well-known drugs. Some of their brands include Celebrex, Diflucan, Lyrica, Robitussin and Viagra. The big pharma company is also the mastermind behind many popular consumer products. Some of the company's biggest names include Chapstick and Preparation H. The company got its start over 150 years ago, and it's came a long way in becoming the multinational corporation that it is today. It's had many triumphs. It discovered citric acid, it mass produces penicillin and vitamin C, but for all its successes, it has also seen its fair share of lawsuits and scandal. So Pfizer faces a growing number of lawsuits in 2018 involving some of its most popular drugs. In the past, courts dismissed thousands of lawsuits against Pfizer. The company also agreed to settle cases over illegal marketing and healthcare fraud. So Pfizer actually set the record for the largest healthcare fraud settlement and the largest criminal fine at any kind, with 2.3 billion in 2009. So I'm going to go through some of their drugs now and let you see some of the problems that have come up with some of their drugs. So people are suing Pfizer over their drug called Protonix. Protonix lawsuits say Pfizer failed to warn about the risk of kidney problems. In 2013, Pfizer agreed to pay $55 million to settle criminal charges. The US Department of Justice said Wyeth promoted Protonix for unapproved uses in 2000 and 2001. Pfizer acquired Wyeth in 2009. So we've got another drug called Prempro, and it says nearly 10,000 women filed Prempro breast cancer lawsuits against Pfizer. By 2012, Pfizer settled most of the claims for more than £1 billion. And you've got another drug here, it's called Chantix. So about 3,000 people filed Chantix lawsuits against Pfizer. They claimed Chantix caused suicidal thoughts and severe psychological disorders. In 2013, the company set aside about $288 million to resolve these cases. One case settled for an undisclosed amount just before the trial in 2012. So they've got another product called Depot/testosterone, and there was more than 6,000 testosterone therapy lawsuits that were pending in May 2018. The lawsuits say testosterone products cause strokes, blood clots and heart attacks. And one of Pfizer's other drugs is called Effexor. A federal panel closed the consolidated Effexor litigation in 2013. Lawsuits were claiming birth defects. And then we've got Zoloft. A judge dismissed Zoloft cases in 2016. Lawsuits included similar claims to Effexor XR. The judge did not disagree that Zoloft can cause birth defects, but the judge concluded there was insufficient evidence to definitively link the two. So the other drug here is called Eliquis, and a judge dismissed a group of federal Eliquis cases in 2017. Injured patients continue to file severe bleeding claims in Delaware State Court. And the next one's called Lipitor. A judge dismissed Lipitor lawsuits in 2017. Women who took the drug filed lawsuits after developing type 2 diabetes. There is currently an appeal pending. And Pfizer's also had drug recalls as well. So Pfizer's had to recall some of its popular products due to quality issues and poor packaging. Effexor XR and Prempro are the two products affected by recalls. And here's Prempro again. It's in 2013, Pfizer announced it was recalling 5 lots of Prempro. Prempro is a hormone replacement therapy drug. Routine testing revealed the strength of the drug was low. And Effexor XR. In 2014, Pfizer recalled 2 lots of its antidepressant drug, Effexor XR. Ticasin was discovered in an Effexor XR bottle. Ticasin is one of the company's heart pills. Pfizer warned that the combination of the 2 different drugs could be deadly. And so there's been a Pfizer scandal as well, and that's in 1996. Pfizer conducted an unapproved clinical trial. It involved children with meningitis in Nigeria. CBS News reported the trials led to the deaths of 11 children. Dozens more were left disabled. And here we can read about the unauthorised trial involved testing 200 children with Pfizer's antibiotic Trovin. So Trovin's a drug severely restricted in use because of its potential to cause liver damage. Injury to the liver as a result of taking Trovin can lead to liver failure and death. In 2011, Pfizer paid $700,000 to 4 families who lost children during the Trovin trials. In addition, the company set up a $35 million fund for those affected by Trovin. Pfizer also agreed to sponsor health projects in Kano, Nigeria. So that's just a wee bit about the history of the people that's behind this VAX that the UK is going to start giving to people as from next week. So also with the VAX it's coming out next week, you know, if anything happens to you through getting this, you can't hold the manufacturers of this liable. So we can read here, and this is actually from the government's website, just to everything I'm taking today, the majority it's coming from the government's own websites, and Pfizer's the leaflet about the Pfizer vaccine as well. So I'll start off here. So here we go, like any decision to roll out mass vax programs for unlicensed COVID-19 vax or indeed any pandemic disease treatments will be taken nationally, not by the individual companies manufacturing or marketing the product. The current legal framework already recognises that if manufacturers or healthcare professionals are asked to supply an unlicensed medicine in response to a public health threat, it is unfair also to ask them to take responsibility for the consequences of the use of that medicine in the way that they normally would. So that's basically saying that you can't hold doctors, nurses, whoever's going to be administering this to the public. So it says the UK government wishes to clarify some important aspects of the legal regime relating to the civil liability of manufacturers and suppliers in this context. And it says who's protected from liability. So Article 5 of Directive 2001/83 requires that member states lay down provisions so that marketing authorisation holders, manufacturers and health professionals are not subject to civil or administrative liability for any consequences resulting from the use of an unauthorised medicinal product or from the use of a product otherwise than in accordance with its authorisation. When such use is by the licensing authority in response to, among other things, the spread of pathogens, this requirement is implemented into UK law by Regulation 345. What Regulation 345 does, therefore, is transpose into UK law a requirement of EU law that key actors in the medicine supply chain cannot generally be sued in the civil courts for the consequences resulting from the use of an unlicensed product or a new use of a licensed product that a national licensing authority is recommending in order to deal with certain specific health threats. So that's what that's saying there is, like I just mentioned at the start of this, if you get that or I get that and something happens to you through getting this, you've not got a leg to stand on, because they've already told you here that if anything happens to you, you can't do nothing about it. It's in law. The manufacturers of this, which would be Pfizer, you can't sue them for this. So it's just to let you know that. So it ends with the principle of providing immunity from civil liability derives from the directive. Some of the critical detail, however, is left to individual EU states and countries outside the EU that are implementing this provision. So although you can't hold these vaccine manufacturers liable, there's an article in one of the papers that says, and this is it here, the British government to compensate people who suffer extreme COVID-19 vaccine side effects with payments of up to 120,000 under existing scheme for common jabs. So it goes through a few bullet points. So it says people severely disabled by the COVID-19 vaccine will get a 120k payment. And it's saying the government added the jab to the 1979 vaccine damage payment scheme. People suffering at least 60% disability will receive a tax-free lump sum. And then Professor Jonathan Van Tam said he was confident about the safety of the vax. So, it's saying if you're severely disabled, but I mean, severely disabled, what is that? How do you prove somebody's actually severely disabled? And it's not really going to make you any more confident to take it if with them actually putting a money incentive at the end of it, that if you get injured, that's what you get from it. And it was saying at the bottom, the professor, he was confident about the safety of the vaccine. But as we know, it's not even been, this vaccination has been about for not even a year, and this is in circulation. It's going to be getting injected into people next month. No, and next week actually. These vaccines usually take years and years, but this one all of a sudden is going to be getting into people within a year, and it's a totally new type of vaccine, which I'm going to move on to now, and it's an RNA vaccine, it's called. And the thing with these vaccines is a totally new technology. We've never actually, on this mass scale that they're about to do, injecting this into everybody. It's never ever been done on such a scale as this before. It's no using the traditional method of vaccination. It's a totally new one called the RNA vaccines. But I'll go through some points here. And this is from the MHRA. This is one of the government bodies, the Medicines and Healthcare Products, and it's saying Pfizer Biotech has assured the MHRA that in light of the UK and Crown dependency deployment model, the product is supplied in ultra low temperatures, has a stability of 6 months at a temperature of minus 70 degrees. And it says this distribution as part of the deployment can be followed at either minus 70 within 4 transitions below, minus 15 degrees, or in 2 to 8 degrees centigrade within 128 hours of leaving ULT. And then further packing down of lots to aid deployment can occur at 2 to 8 degrees centigrade within the 120 hour shelf life of leaving ULT. So there's only one point I'm going to mention for this, and that's the fact that this has to be actually kept at minus 70. Minus 70 degrees, it's quite worrying that as well. Obviously it's not getting injected into you when it's at that degrees, but still the fact they have to keep it at that sort of temperature. So I'm moving on here to my next point. So with this vaccine, it's actually telling you as well here that it says, as with any vaccine, COVID-19 mRNA vaccine may not fully protect all those who are receiving it. So you could get this, and there's a chance it's not even going to do anything. But there's a chance it could damage you as well. So is it worth even taking the risk? So it's saying here as well, no data are currently available on individuals with a weakened immune system or who are taking chronic treatment that suppresses or prevents immune responses. So somebody could go and get that with a weakened immune system, and they could end up in a bad way. There's just no way of knowing because they've not done any studies on it. And moving on to the next part, it says children and adolescents. So the mRNA vaccine is not recommended for children under 16 years. So that's only one good thing I would say about this. The fact that it's not going to be going into children, so which is a good thing. Medicines. So in the next part it says other medicines in COVID mRNA vaccine. Tell your doctor or pharmacist if you are using, have recently used, or might use any other medicines, or have recently received any other vaccine. Then it moves on, pregnancy and breastfeeding. There is currently limited data available on the use of this vaccine in pregnant women. If you are pregnant or breastfeeding, think you may be pregnant or are planning to have a baby, ask your doctor or pharmacist for advice before you receive this. As a precaution, you should avoid becoming pregnant until at least 2 months after the vax. So the next part of this is titled What You Need to Know Before You Receive the COVID-19 mRNA vaccine. And remember, all this stuff I'm reading for you is from the MHRA, the ones that approved this vaccine. So it's all on there for you to go and look at. It's easy to do. You just pull it up, type the MHRA in, coronavirus, and it will come up and look through it yourself. So it's saying here, the vaccine should not be given if you're allergic to the active substance or any of the other ingredients of this medicine listed in section 6. Signs of an allergic reaction may include itchy skin, rash, shortness of breath, and swelling of the face or tongue. Contact your doctor or healthcare professional immediately, or go to the nearest hospital emergency room right away if you have an allergic reaction. It can be life-threatening. And also you have to Warnings and precautions. You have to talk to your doctor, pharmacist or nurse before you're given the vaccine if you have had any problems following previous administration of COVID-19 vaccine, such as allergic reaction or breathing problems, a severe illness with high fever. However, a mild fever or upper airway infection like a cold are not reasons to delay vaccination. A weakened immune system, such as due to HIV or are on a medicine that affects your immune system. A bleeding problem, bruise easily or use a medicine to inhibit blood clotting. So this next section is telling you how the mRNA vaccine is given. So the mRNA vaccine is given after dilution as an injection of a 0.3ml into a muscle of your upper arm. You'll receive 2 injections given 21 days apart. If you receive 1 dose of COVID mRNA, you should receive a 2nd dose of the same vaccine 21 days later to complete the vaccination series. Protection against COVID-19 disease may not be effective until at least 7 days after the 2nd dose. And the next part mentions, like all vaccines, COVID-19 mRNA vaccine can cause side effects. Although not everybody gets them, most side effects are mild or moderate and go away within a few days of appearing. If side effects such as pain and or fever are troublesome, they can be treated by medicines for pain and fever, such as paracetamol. So, side effects may occur with following frequencies, and this is the ones that are very common. It says it may affect more than 1 in 10 people. So you'll get pain at the injection site, tiredness, a headache, muscle pain, chills, joint pain, fever. So the next one that's common, and this may affect up to 1 in 10 people, and it's injection site swelling, redness at injection site, nausea. And then for the uncommon ones, this may affect up to 1 in 100 people, and that's an enlarged lymph node and just feeling unwell. So I'm going to move on to the actual ingredients that's in this, and I'll go through them and I'll show you. I've went through and I've got information on the majority of these ingredients that are in this. There's maybe 1 or 2 that I couldn't find. So, and the reason I want to do this is because I know a lot of people go through and do this, go through and actually check the ingredients that are in this. But by me doing this, you don't need to do. You're not going to need to do that. It's just a case of you can watch this video and I'm going to show up in the video. I'll show you the actual ingredient and what it contains and just if it's harmful to you. Like, so the first ingredient that's actually in this is the RNA, right? It's called BNT162B2 RNA. So the thing is with this one, right, it's got, so you've got the active substance, it's RNA, and what I'll do here, right, is I'll go through these first and then I'll go back and go through every one at a time. So you've got the BNT162B2, and that's the RNA, right, and then we've got the other ingredients which are really quite hard to actually pronounce here, so I'll maybe give the first 2 a miss, but I'll just call them by the letters at the start of it. So it'll be ALC, and that's 0315, That must just be the short code for it. And then the other one's ALC 0159. Then underneath we've got 1,2 distereol, glycyrrol, phosphorylene, and then underneath that you've got cholesterol, and then below that we've got potassium chloride, potassium dihydrogen phosphate, sodium chloride, the sodium hydrogen phosphate, dihydrate, and then sucrose. So you're probably lucky if you even recognise two of them. Two of them actually sound okay, but the rest of them, I mean, if you looked on the back of if you're into a shop and looked on the back of like a packet of crisps or something, or like a packet of biscuits and seen all that stuff, you'd be like, straight away, nah, I'm not taking that. So that should really be the same when we're looking into this stuff like this as well. So I'm going to go through, I'll start off with the RNA, right? So the BNT162B2 RNA. So like I mentioned earlier, this is it's a new type of vaccine they're using, right? So on this page you can see it. So the conventional vaccines, right? So that's the antigen, which is a piece of the virus, is injected into the body. Upon recognising the antigen, the immune system produces specific antibodies in preparation for the next time the body encounters a pathogen. So that's the old way, the vaccinations. This new way, as you can see on that, you can see the wee helix, and it looks like DNA. That's the RNA. And it says the RNA is injected into the body, right? And it enters cells where it provides instructions to produce antigens. So they're actually sending something into your body that's like coding. They're sending that into your body. And it says the cell then presents the antigens to the immune system, prompting T cell and antibody responses that can fight the disease. So I'm not going to get into much on all this, but I have heard a few people, one of them being Dr. Bitar as well, that's saying there's a good chance that this could actually change people's DNA. And I think that's what a lot of people's worried about. So there's a good article, it's from a Science with Dr. Doug. And I'll put the picture up here and you can have a look at that as well. And he does the article, Will an RNA vaccine permanently alter my DNA? So that's a good one for you to read if you want to go and check that out more. So I'm going to move on next to the next ingredient in that, right, which is so in the ALC 0315 I was able to find the 4-hydroxybutyl, and you can see from here, right, it was a company, Cayman Chemicals, that makes this. It's got a few different names as well that you can see from there that it's called, this substance. So we'll move on to this. And that's actually saying, when you look into this bit here, it's telling you all about this chemical. It's a highly flammable liquid and vapour, harmful if swallowed, harmful in contact with skin, causes serious eye irritation, harmful if inhaled. Precaution phrases we've got here: keep away from heat, sparks, avoid breathing, wash hands thoroughly after handling, wear protective gloves, eye protection. Then we've got the GHS response phrases. It says, if swallowed, call a poison centre or doctor if you feel unwell. If on the skin, wash with plenty of soap and water. If on skin or hair, remove, take off immediately all contaminated clothing, rinse skin. So that's just part of this first ingredient. I'll move on to another bit that I was able to find off it, because it's like 3 or 4 ingredients all combined in this, and there was a couple that I couldn't find. So the next one is the one at the very end, the 2-hexyl decanoate. Right, and that's here. It's here. So what it says about this is what I could find on it. It says it may cause an allergic skin reaction. Warning: sensitisation skin. It says very toxic to aquatic life with long-lasting effects. It says hazardous to the aquatic environment, long-term hazard. It says may cause long-lasting harmful effects to aquatic life, hazardous to the aquatic environment, and it's a long-term hazard. So I'm going to put this away for a second. That'll be... So the next one that I could find here, right, was... I couldn't find on the top with the ALC0315, I was struggling to find the hexane 6-1, but I could find hexane 1,6, so I've just left that out just in case it wasn't the right ingredient. So I've left that, so we'll move on, right, to the ALC0159, right, and that's polyphene glycol. That's what I could find in that. Right, and that was, let me see it, polyphene glycol. So we'll move on here. So the polyphene glycol, it's actually used in, it's got quite a lot of uses. It's used for commercial use, it gets used in industrial use, and it gets used for recreational use. So as you can see here, right, it says, we'll just call it PEG for short, right? So it's the basis of many skin creams. It's used in a number of toothpastes. It's also under investigation for use in body armour and in tattoos to monitor diabetes. It says in low molecular weight formulations, it is used in Hewlett-Packard DesignJet printers as an ink solvent and lubricant for the print heads. PEG is also used as an anti-foaming agent in food and drinks. So this is the industrial uses it's got, and it's a nitrate ester plasticized polyphene glycol is used in Trident II submarine launched ballistic missile solid rocket fuel. We've got dimethyl esters of PEG are the key ingredient of select salt, a solvent used by coal burning power plants to remove carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide from the gas waste stream. And PEG has been used as a gate insulator in an electric double layer transistor to induce superconductivity in an insulator. And PEG is also used as a polymer host for solid polymer electrolytes. PEG is injected into industrial processes to reduce foaming and separation equipment. PEG is used as a binder in the preparation of technical ceramics. PEG is used to extend the size and durability of very large soap bubbles, and it's the main ingredient in many personal lubricants. So I've got a wee bit here on the health effects of it. It says it's considered biologically inert and safe by the FDA. However, a growing body of evidence shows the existence of a detectable level of anti-PEG antibodies in approximately 72% of the population never treated with PEG-related drugs, based on plasma samples from 1990 to 1999. The FDA has been asked to investigate the possible effects of PEG and laxatives for children. A large and growing number of parents have reported serious or life-threatening side effects after their children were given one or more doses of PEG as an osmotic laxative. Miralax has not been tested on children. PEG is not recommended to those under 18. So that's polythene glycol. Let's move on to the next one now. And that one is, let me see that. Let's see then. Right, so we can see here this next one is it's 1,2 disteroyl esen glycerol free phosphosulfite. So what I could find with this, it was from the same company as earlier on, the Cayman Chemical Company, and we can see what it says about it. It just says, the adverse human health, material may be irritating to the mucous membranes and upper respiratory tract. The effects and symptoms, it may be harmful by inhalation, ingestion or skin absorption. It may cause eye, skin or respiratory system irritation. And it says, to the best of our knowledge, the toxicological properties have not been thoroughly investigated. So they don't really know how toxic this ingredient actually is to the human body. And it's saying here, if you inhale it, remove to fresh air, if not breathing, give artificial respiration or give oxygen by trained personnel. Get immediate medical attention. And if it comes into contact with your skin, immediately wash skin with soap and plenty of water for at least 15 minutes. Remove contaminated clothing. Get medical attention if symptoms occur. Wash clothing before reuse. Hold, and then in case of eye contact, hold eyelids apart and flush eyes with plenty of water for at least 15 minutes. Have eyes examined and tested by medical personnel. And then to the next bit, in case of ingestion, wash out mouth with water provided the person is conscious. Never give anything by mouth to an unconscious person. Get medical attention. Do not induce vomiting unless directed to do so by medical personnel. Right, so I'm going to move on to the next bit, right, which is cholesterol. I'm not going to go much into this ingredient because it's, most people know what it is. I'll go into just a wee short bit about it. And I just took this from Wikipedia. So this, in my mind, this isn't a dangerous ingredient, I wouldn't say at all. So cholesterol is a molecule that is found in animal cells and body fluids. Cholesterol is not found in plant sources. It is a type of lipid which is a fat or fat-like molecule. Cholesterol is a soft, waxy substance. Cholesterol is a special type of lipid that is called a steroid. Steroids are lipids that have a special chemical structure. This structure is made of 4 rings of carbon atoms. Cholesterol is found especially in animal fats. Cholesterol is the main steroid synthesised by animals. Other steroids include hormone steroids like cortisol, estrogen and testosterone. These and other steroid hormones are made by changing the basic chemical structure of cholesterol. Right, so we'll move on to potassium chloride. So this is from Wikipedia, right? So potassium chloride, it's also known as sylvite, KCI or potassium salt. It is a metal halide salt composed of potassium and chlorine. It is odourless and has a white or colourless vitreous crystal appearance. The solid dissolves readily in water and its solutions have a salt-like taste. Potassium chloride can be obtained from ancient dried lake deposits. It's also used as a fertiliser in medicine and scientific applications and in food processing, where it may be known as E number 508. In a few states of the United States, it is used to cause cardiac arrest as the third drug in the free drug cocktail for executions by lethal injection. It occurs naturally as the mineral sylvite and in combination with sodium chloride as sylvinite. So the typical amounts of potassium chloride found in the diet appear to be generally safe. In larger quantities, however, potassium chloride is toxic. So the lethal dose of orally ingested potassium chloride is approximately 2.5 grams or 190 grams for a body mass of 75 kilograms. In comparison, the lethal dose of sodium chloride is 3.75 grams. So intravenously, that's injected. The lethal dose of potassium chloride is far smaller, at about 57.2 milligrams. This is found by dividing the lethal concentration of positive potassium ions by the proportion by mass of potassium ions in potassium chloride. In such quantities, it has severe consequences on the cardiac muscles, potentially causing cardiac arrest and rapid death. For this reason, it is used in surgical abortion and is the third and final drug delivered in the lethal injection process. You like your wee cocktail yet? That's a cocktail of that's at least 5 or 6 things I've mentioned now. Well, right, so let's move on to the next one is potassium dihydrogen phosphate. So this stuff, it says, this is for Wikipedia, it says it's often used as a fertiliser, a food additive and a buffering agent. The salt often co-crystallises with the potassium salt as well as with phosphoric acid. So let me see, I'm just trying to find the name for this one here. So we can find this is for the potassium dihydrogen phosphate, right? And we can find here what it says. If it's inhaled, the symptoms you'll get is a cough, skin redness, the eyes redness and pain. If you ingest it, you'll get abdominal pain, vomiting, diarrhea, nausea. It says it's colourless crystals or white crystalline powder. That's the way it comes. And its exposure and health effects we can see under here. It says inhalation risk. A harmful concentration of airborne particles can be reached quickly when dispersed, especially if powdered. And the substance can be absorbed into the body by ingestion. The substance is irritating to the eyes, skin and the respiratory tract. So we'll move on to sodium chloride. I'm not going to get into sodium chloride much because most people will know what it is. It's salt, so I'll just mention it briefly. So sodium chloride, commonly known as salt, is one of the most abundant minerals on Earth and an essential nutrient for many animals, and it is naturally found in seawater and in underground rock formations. So the next ingredient is the sodium hydrogen phosphate dehydrate. This is from Fisher Scientific UK, this is what I got there. It's a chemical that they obviously stock. Recommended use, laboratory chemicals it says. And it says here, the toxicological properties have not been fully investigated. So that's another one here that they've not actually tested it to see what it does when it's inside people. It's got some of the, it mentions the first aid measures at the back. If it comes into contact with the eyes, rinse immediately with plenty of water, also under the eyelids for at least 15 minutes. Get medical attention. If it comes onto your skin, wash off immediately with soap and plenty of water while removing all contaminated clothes and shoes. Obtain medical attention. Ingestion, do not induce vomiting, obtain medical attention. And then inhalation, move to fresh air. If breathing is difficult, give oxygen. If not breathing, give artificial respiration. Obtain medical attention. So the last ingredient in that is just sucrose, which is just sugar. So it says, for human consumption, sucrose is extracted and refined from either sugarcane or sugar beet. Sugar mills typically located in tropical regions near where sugarcane is grown. Crush the cane and produce raw sugar, which is shipped to other factories for refining into pure sucrose. Sugar beet factories are located in temperate climates where the beet is grown and process the beets directly into refined sugar. The sugar refining process involves washing the raw sugar crystals before dissolving them in a sugar syrup, which is filtered and then passed over carbon to remove any residual colour. The sugar syrup is then concentrated by boiling under a vacuum and crystallised as the final purification process to produce crystals of pure sucrose that are clear, odourless and sweet. Sugar is often an added ingredient in food production and food recipes. About 185 million tonnes of sugar were produced worldwide in 2017. So that's me just went through the ingredients just so you can see for yourselves. It says there's like sugar, I wouldn't really bother about that, and sodium chloride, no too fussed with that either, but it's the other ingredients that I've shown you, the effects that can come off of them. So we'll move on to the next part. Even if you take this VAX, right, there's a good chance that you're still going to need to go about going along with all the restrictions that they've put in place, like the face muzzles and the social distancing, the same sort of stuff. Because I mean, there's an article here I'll show you, and that's from Dr. Fauci from November 16th, and then he says in this, it says, Dr. Fauci says mass social distancing will still be needed after a COVID vaccine. Here's why. And he mentions, obviously with a 90% plus effective vaccine, you could feel much more confident about not getting the virus, Fauci told Tapper. But I would recommend to people to not abandon all public health measures just because you've been vaxxed. Those fundamentals include universal wearing of muzzles, maintaining physical distance, avoiding large crowds, doing more outdoor activities and washing hands frequently. Because even though for the general population it might be 90 to 95% effective, said Fauci, you don't necessarily know for you how effective it is. Even at those success rates, about 5% to 10% of people immunised may still get the virus. So even if you get that, when we seen at the start, when I was reading earlier on, that it says that even if you get that, it might still not work. but then you're taking all the risk injecting that stuff into your body for them to turn round and still say that you still need to go along with the restrictions that's in place just now. And we've also got there's talk in this country just now of immunity passports. And what they're saying with this is, if you get the vax, then we'll allow you to go back and do the things that you were able to do before. So I'll read you this here. The headline: immunity passports are being discussed, fears of dangerous precedent for vaccinated. So it says senior government scientists have been asked to explore the viability of immunity passports. The Sunday Express can reveal. This is despite ministers insisting there were no plans to introduce them. So it says the Sunday Express has learnt that SAGE has tasked several of its advisory groups to look into the scientific, behavioural and ethical feasibility of the passports. These would be documents given to those vaccinated and could allow greater benefits such as easier access to pubs and restaurants. Insiders confirm that at least government science groups were looking into the implications of the passport idea. It says the news sparked anger among senior medics who argue vaccine passports are unnecessary and also risk creating division and discrimination in society. So a guy underneath, he says, Dr. Richard Nicholson, former editor of the Bulletin of Medical Ethics, said this is a worrying proposal because we do not know the long-term benefits and harms of these vaccines, nor how long protection of COVID-19 is given for after inoculation. Which is a good point that the guys made. We don't know. They've been rushed out in the space of less than a year, plus the manufacturers can't be held liable for it as well. So, and another thing that's happening just now, it just makes you wonder, why are they going to such an effort to bribe everybody into taking this? It's as if, like, in order for you to go back and be able to go into concerts, stuff like that, go on holidays, you're going to need this passport. So they're basically bribing you into taking this thing, and now that there's a few people a bit wary about what's going on, they're actually getting there's actually stars, famous people coming out now and saying that they would get it, that they would actually get the vaccine, saying that they'll get it no problem. So they're going through the media and using these people to try and convince the public to get this as well, which makes you wonder, why are they so determined to get everybody to take this? So I'll leave their thoughts with these guys, and I hope he's enjoyed what he's hearing. So take care and God bless.